Welcome to the U-Turn podcast. My friend, this is Ashley Stahl. I'm your host, and you are in the right place if you're ready to create a business, a career, a personal brand, or just a life that you're so proud of. And every single week, we want to support you by bringing you PhDs, subject matter experts, psychology practitioners, business leaders, all here on the show to elevate your success in business and also in life so that you can leave the legacy, you can amplify your authority, and you can really skyrocket the amount of opportunities you're creating for yourself in your career, whether you're corporate or you're a business owner. And if you are new here, again, my name is Ashley Stahl. I'm an international bestselling author of the book U-Turn, Get Unstuck, Discover Your Direction, Design Your Dream Career. And most importantly, I'm the CEO and founder of Wise Whisper Agency. I'm a top 100 TEDx speaker on the internet, and I was so inspired to create Wise Whisper and help clients craft their signature talk. We've helped hundreds of clients craft their talk, and we've also helped so many of them land spots on some of the biggest stages in the world, including the TED and TEDx stage. And so I am here on a mission to help every changemaker I know impact millions. Also, before we get into this episode, shout out to our friend Andy B. Mackin, the artist that has gifted us this sick new music for the podcast. Let's get into this week's episode. All right, friends, Jon Cheplak is here, and you're really in for a very special treat. He's a high-performance CEO coach. He's focused on developing leaders, helping them attract, develop, and retain team members to drive their revenue. He's a multiple-time Inc. 5000 fastest-growing company CEO. He really believes in productivity, profits, in business, and he believes that starts and ends with personal development. And we know the U-Turn podcast, that's all we talk about here. And I just, before I hit the record button, was telling him about a micro business crisis we're dealing with, where we're overhauling and branding things differently. And it is such a game of the mind. Every single friend I tell my little crisis to, they're like, "Oh, Ashley, this is such an up level for you. You get to expand, you get to offer more things. This is so amazing." And I totally hear them, and I take a lot of pride in not being a victimized person. So I try to hear it and believe it and work with it. But I think a lot of us, life just hits you. And Jon and I were just talking before I hit record with him about how he helps a lot of people in real estate, a lot of very seasoned real estate entrepreneurs, and the markets are kind of scary for some of them right now. So Jon, I could ramble forever. It's about you. Thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, it's my privilege. I'm excited to spend some time with you.
You too. I feel like it's very special, the private coaching you do. And I know everybody's listening. Maybe this is their first time getting exposed to you. So if you guys don't know, Jon does these micro private coaching calls, 20 minutes, and he does tons of them every month. Really big impact, really big reach, high ticket support. Obviously, you come from a place of you're really seasoned in business. You've established a lot of results for yourself. And these CEOs, these founders, these COOs, they're coming to you for wisdom in the thick of probably their worst feelings, because they get 20 minutes to solve a problem and they hop on with you. So take me a little bit into when you look at all these people who are scared of the unpredictable market, things changing, and they're grabbing on for certainty or dear life. What are some of the initial thoughts that happen for you to help them?
Well, my initial thought is, and it's such a great question right now. My initial thought is that very, very few people have developed their mental toughness.
Yeah.
And mental toughness isn't something that someone just you go to a seminar and you're mentally tough.
Right.
You read affirmations. Mental toughness is drawing upon your past, because what I always tell people is our future is actually in our past. And so mental toughness is drawing upon experiences that you have been able to get through, that you never thought you were going to get through, and that you're really, really proud of. And so people have those, and you can draw upon those. But I think to be able to sustain that, what you have to have is, and I'll use the term forced suffering. Forced suffering for some people can be watching your nutrition. Forced suffering is really pushing yourself physically every day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the biggest thing right now is that I think people need to, that's my first thought, is looking at their mental toughness. The next piece for me, though, in looking at business, and you're a great business operator and work at a high level, is moving them to understand that everything that's going on privately shows up publicly. So
Right.
when you have this business, and Dean has shared what 80% of business is mindset and 20% is strategy and tactic.
Right.
And so I think that a lot of, and here's where I'd go to empathy and understanding. I think in my business, in many businesses too, I think the last 5 years, well, I'd say a year back, 18 months back, is that people really weren't tested.
Mhm.
It was sure people may have put in the time, but now that things get a little bit tougher, they're really measured. So the most important thing that I ask people to do is to let's step away from strategy and tactic, because the mistake people make when things get challenging is they immediately want to change that thing that they've done that's worked, instead of taking a look at and seeing, well, how have you actually executed on it? Because if you just decide to change because the market's changed, you haven't inspected what your execution has been leading up to this, then you're going to make the wrong decision.
Oh, tell me a
And
little more about that. What do you mean by that?
sure,
Like when I
sure, I
look at
was,
my business, like the way we've been able to start scaling and having success, there's been really aliveness in the execution. Like I am out there on my iPhone doing reels in my street in West Hollywood, which is
I've
kind of
seen them.
awkward. You've seen
Yeah, yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like, and those of you who heard him reference Dean, that's Dean Graziosi. We met at Dean's event, which is awesome. Dean's so cool. But yeah, what do you mean by executing differently?
Sure. So, what happens is I'll get called into these meetings, and it could be the CEO, founder and CEO, and then their C-suite. It could be their top 10 people in the organization. I get called into these meetings and they take a look at either what a competitor's doing, or they're taking a look at what's happening in the marketplace. And the first thing that they want to discuss is we need to change our sales process, or we need to change our model, or we need to change our operations. And the very, very first thing that I tell people is this is though, and I get to work with certainly established, very productive, profitable organizations. I mean, it's a body of work. Everyone goes through seasons, but these are well-run organizations. And I say, well, let's take a look at what got you here, because here's what I believe.
Right.
And it's not to be contrarian. What got you here will get you there.
Mm,
Because right now what we're experiencing in challenging time is people are trying to think of something new, but here's what they lost. They lost the core fundamental business principles and the hunger and the diligence of execution on a daily basis that they did to get here. And so what I'll ask people to do, okay, great. I think it's great to be innovative. I think it's great to change, but let me give you my opinion on innovation. My opinion on innovation is 100% execution, because how many
mm,
people actually execute 100%? So what I ask them to do is say, okay, wonderful. So let's take a look at your business, and in many cases, these businesses, the wealth of the leaders, the wealth of the value of the business has grown. And I'll ask them this. So 5 years ago, I use that window. 5 years ago, your financial situation, your earnings, your net worth, how different is it today? Raise your hand if it's dramatically different. Hands go up. It's amazing. It's great. Okay, good. So now raise your hand if you are executing on those core fundamental activities on a daily basis at the same level you were and as consistent as you were.
back when you got to the big shift in a good way. Okay, so here's the thing is like, and I'm interrupting you, so I want to hear what you're going to
No,
say.
good, please.
Is execution, like I love talking about execution because I'm a doer.
Right.
I gotta move on. Like I got ants in my pants. Like I gotta go. And I've been like that since I came out. And in fact, John, I was kicked out of preschool for headbutting. I had so many ants in my pants. I was just like unhinged.
That's so cool.
It's so crazy. But here's the thought that I'm
Right.
wondering about, and I need your help with this for everybody, including myself.
Mhm.
And for those of you who don't know, TED, TED often doesn't love when people are doing any coaching relating to TED or TEDx. So it's very common for TEDx coaches, even though we do a lot of speaking engagement stuff and signature talk stuff, very common for them to get their talks taken down. My talk was taken down, my 12 million view thing, And so it's actually causing some distress in my business. And so this is what I'm referencing amongst many other little things that come with that. But here's the
Right.
thing about execution, Jon. So take me or take anybody who's listening. We're under duress, right? Like you're talking about your real estate professionals and the market isn't great. There's a lot of real estate deals you were saying before we hit record that are in purgatory. They're not being signed, deals being canceled, people backing out of escrow. That's going to cause like some crisis energy, and that's got to trigger some execution time for people, right? It's time to execute. In my case, my TEDx talk got taken down. It was a huge brand asset for me. Really puts me in a pickle because one of the things I take pride in is we've helped more than 100 people get on a TEDx stage. And one of our selling points is that we know what it takes to not get your talk pulled down. Because I'm a TEDx coach, like there's not one TEDx coach on the internet that has their talk up. So that I've seen. So this puts me into execution, right? Okay, now our sales aren't as good because a lot of people were buying our services because they saw my talk, they were impressed, right? Ooh, we want this girl to do it. We want her team. When you think about businesses growing their sales beyond forecasts, you probably think about a product with very high demand, a very focused brand, and influence-driven marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business making selling simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Shopify is home to the number one checkout on the planet, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going. So if you're growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout brands like Mattel and Heinz use. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/U-turn, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/U-turn to upgrade your selling today. Again, that's shopify.com/U-turn. And I'm in execution energy, but there's two types of execution, right? There's like the inspired one, and then there's the panic kind, right? And I feel like when shit hits the fan, a lot of people are going to execute like Chicken Little and the sky is falling and it's like a clusterfuck. And I imagine a lot of people listening, they're like, oh, like the sky is falling. And they look like this frenetic blur of light, running around trying to get stuff done. So how do we, here I am, 15 years of personal development. How do we regulate? How do we execute? How do we rise above and not get stuck in the disappointment, the block, the fear, the revenue going down, the whatever?
Right. So I draw upon, and I mentioned earlier, our future's in our past.
Right.
And so, and we've heard the cliche of grab a borrowed belief, and the most important person to grab a borrowed belief from is ourselves. And so, there's a couple things. Number one is go back to a space or place personally, because what we want to do is yeah, it's okay to feel it, but if we stay in a space of emotion, it's going to turn into drama for us. It just kind of does. That's just the way it goes. So a couple things I'll say to myself is okay, what have I gone through in the past that I thought I was never going to get through? I go to the most extreme situation and that I'm really, really proud of. And knowing what I know now, what would I have done different? And the first thing I wouldn't have done is worried. And so it's really, I'm transmuting myself back to that space, right? And saying, okay, I'm on the other side of it. So I'm grabbing a borrowed belief from that experience. I'm going on the other side of this thing. I've fretted and stewed and created drama in my life, which I did many times. And yet I came out the other side better from it. So that's the first thing I do. The second thing that I do, and it's something I tell myself, is any frustration. And yes, last month was July was since I think 2012 was when they first started measuring this number, the highest number of pending home sales, homes that were under contract actually canceled. They pulled out of the deal. They were signed off, and maybe there been a mortgage contingency, or there was an inspection contingency. But what I'm hearing a lot of is people are just, you can use a inspection. You can get out of anything if you want to. and people weren't wanting to. And so I think it's really important to look at that and say, okay, have emotions really served me, how they worked against me? I mean, going back and visiting that moment, we've got to get out of the moment that we're in. We've got to get out of the moment that we're in. The second piece, and I always want to give attribution to Gary Zukav, wrote The Heart of the Soul, and actually, ironically, he has been interviewed by Oprah more than anyone.
Oh, wow.
And yes, and in his book, The Heart of the Soul, and in his teachings, I spent some time with him. He said, "This is great. You're in the river right now. You're standing in the river. But the challenge is, you can't see. We've got to get above the river." So what he talks about is be in the river, feel that flow, feel those rapids. But if you stay in it for too long, I mean, your legs are going to freeze off or the rapids are going to take you down. So he says, get out of the river, experience it and feel it, and get up on the bridge. So another thing that I say to myself, just little exercises, get up on the bridge and observe it out of curiosity, not a judge. And then go back to what ultimately we go back to an experience that we were challenged by, that we thought we weren't going to get through, and we made it through. For me, I've been sober 16 years, and I tried from 21 to 41.
Wow.
And at 41, I go back to the moment, and it's the only time I ever said this in my life. And I remember my friend who was the bartender saying to me, "What'd you just say?" And he heard me, is me saying under my breath, "I'm not getting out this time. I'm not getting out this time." And so I go back to that moment, and people will say, forget about your past. No, that's where all the lessons are. That's where the power is.
Yeah.
So I think from a personal standpoint, you got to go there too, because you got to get yourself in the right place personally. From a business standpoint, then I go back to, okay, it is what it is. What are the basic core pieces of my business that maybe I'm not doing, that built the business when I got up and running? Okay, when I got going, and that did generate revenue, and that did generate eyeballs, and that did generate results for me. That maybe I grew past. There were other things that I could start doing that generated better revenue as a return on my time, and go back and revisit those, because in 99.9% of the time cases, it really, really works.
Mm.
Um, it really does. But we get this one thing that, okay, this is working much better for me. Okay,
You
this is
know,
working much better for me. So then we tend to abandon those things.
well, it's also tunnel vision, and it's like a strength and a weakness, right? Like I've had tunnel vision, and it's paid me so much money and fulfillment and joy and success because I'm so good at being like, this is the dang thing, and I'm going all the way. And if you're not it, you're not it, and you're out. But that doesn't really make for a business. That makes for an offer, right? Like that's what I learned when I was in my 20s. I had one course, it exploded, created an entire email list of 500,000 people in 2 months. And then I, didn't know how to manage money, kept my team for too long, ended up going in debt because I was in the belief of I did it once, I could do it again.
Right.
And that belief actually kind of messed with me, but it's an empowering belief as much as it kind of crippled me in a weird way. I was like, I did it once, I could do it again. So I held on for too long, trying to resuscitate the thing, trying to make it work. I felt like a monkey on the Planet Earth show, dancing, doing my ads, like a mating dance with the audience, I just felt so sold out. And
Right.
so I feel like, where do we help everyone listening figure out when it's time? You
Mm.
talk about getting out of the river, right? Like your feet are cold. And so it's like, I feel like, my example, my talk getting taken down because I'm helping people with TED or TEDx, and they don't love that, or whatever their standards are about it. I don't know.
Sure.
We look at me doing this and it's like, okay, I'm in the water right now. My sales are going down. Our ad conversions are going down. Our ads talk about me having a talk that like got top 100 most views. People are looking for it. So I'm in the river, right? My sales are being hit, my revenue. And I'm like, well, shit, what do I do? And there's a part of me that wants to just take every single thing that I have that's working and just tweak the language a little bit. Maybe I'll dilute my sales a little bit, right? Maybe the ads that don't talk about me with TEDx aren't going to convert the same. Or maybe the video that I send people about what we're doing, now we're more of a speaking agency with all sorts of opportunities, isn't going to hit the same and get them excited about whatever we're doing. How do I know when to stop being attached to how things have been and say, we're kind of doing an overhaul? And I know it's a really hard question I'm asking you, but
No,
I
it's not
see people all
actually.
the time with this.
Well, I mean, the first place that I always go to when I'm in a challenging space, whether it is my ads not hitting or a landing page isn't working well for me, I'll survey my audience. I would go right to my audience right now, because you may find that, you're doing really, really well, but when you hear what their single most greatest challenge, frustration, or fear is, which I know you're very in tune with your avatar, but I think I would go back to my audience immediately if I was in this place. Like, for example, if Facebook and Instagram, which is where I've done really, really well organically, if all of a sudden it was just shut down and I couldn't do
Mm,
anything,
mm,
the the very first place I'm going to go is to my email list, and I'm going to survey them, and I'm going to go in an SMIQ, single most important question, challenge, frustrations, or fears, and
mm,
I'm going to word cloud it, and then I'm going to start writing copy and running copy at them. I'm going to start running lead magnets at them that uses the, if okay, guess what? I can't use, it's interesting you bring this up. I have a client, still a great friend now. Her name is Sherry Chase.
mm.
And she is a luxury. Check out her website, chaseinternational.com. The most beautiful 20, $30 million homes on Lake Tahoe.
Wow.
She opened Chase International Real Estate. Guess who came after her?
Oh, Chase, of course.
Chase Bank.
Yeah. The amount of examples of this that I have. Okay, so this is opening a new can of worms with you, John. Is so I'm sure that just completely overhauled her branding, her marketing, whatever have you. Here's the thing, like, and this kills me because I feel like this is big business, right? Like, there's a lot of small shops.
Mhm.
Like, I've gotten a cease and desist email before, and I remember forwarding it to my lawyers because I didn't even think I was doing anything wrong, and I really wasn't. And they were like, "Oh, wow, like, oh yeah, you got to edit that thing on your website." But this is a really big overreach. Like, they're asking you to do things that are way beyond the scope of what you're required to do. And they kind of said to me, they're like, but if you don't comply, they can sue you. And even if you're going to win, it's going to cost you a lot of money and years of your life. This is the soundbite we hear, John, how many times
Mhm.
a week in real
Yes.
business? And nobody's
Yes.
talking about it because you get in
Right.
trouble if you talk
Right.
about your lawsuit and the big bad wolf coming to get you and you're like a good little shop. Or social media is noisy. You look like one of those little cranky trolls just going on. It's not a good look, right? But the
No.
truth, it's
Uh,
the amount of friends I have that have been like, oh, that happened to me, and it cost me $150,000, and it took my whole profits for the year, and I had to rebrand everything. Hugo Boss went after one of my friends because they had the word boss in their company name.
wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
just the word boss, not even the same font, nothing. So,
Wow.
and we hear this, right? And it stopped their whole operation, really hurt their sales. And so we still do live in a world, right, where it's like big business. And what I don't want to impart to everybody listening, and I'm sorry, you guys, if I'm imparting any of this, which is just this like bummer energy, but I think it's real. And so my intention is like, how do we rise up past that? How do we
Sure.
make magic happen? Um, so yeah, what would you, and it's funny, you're also talking about these houses as like a metric for society's relationship with money, right? Backing out of houses, the biggest purchase of your life. I think it's interesting. Stripper tips are also associated. I saw in the Wall Street Journal how much men are tipping strippers. I'm assuming it's men, but maybe it's not. Um, it's like these weird little social metrics giving us a little whiff of how things are going. So when people are smelling the aroma of the stripper tip whiff, of the real estate whiff, and they're just sitting here thinking, I am so scared and nothing is working and I've tried everything. Okay, so you talked about surveying, hearing people who you've served that have worked with you, who have gotten value from you, or their email subscribers or audience on Instagram or wherever they are, getting their exact words about their pain. What would be your next step?
My next step is then to create lead magnets accordingly. Lead magnets, build my lists. We're doing it right now in our little offers that we do that are all organic. We don't run any traffic, any paid traffic.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing that we're doing also right now with, so I'll take you over to real estate also. We're surveying when it comes, can you help me with this? When it comes to buying or selling a home, what's your single most greatest challenge or frustration? And they're getting the feedback, and they're going back to their, instead of the new leads that are coming into the game right now, They're going back to people that came in 3 years ago that have been consuming their content, and they're converting the daylights out of them. They've watched enough. They've seen where the rates were. They see where they are now. They've sacrificed enough on the sidelines.
Okay. I have to admit, I never really thought I'd be the person to give up coffee. I freaking love coffee. It's a part of my daily ritual, it's my non negotiable. But here's the thing, I found something that makes me feel so great as an alternative. So instead of grabbing for extra cups of coffee and hurting my body, I instead decided it's time for me to try Peak's Nandaka. This isn't just another coffee alternative. It's really a body upgrade, and I've been loving it. No crashes, no slumps, just clear, focused, calm energy. So why is Nandaka so special? Well, unlike a lot of other mushroom coffees, Nandaka is made with 100% fruiting body mushrooms, the part that's really packed with those powerful compounds that support your energy, your focus, your longevity. And it's not just mushrooms, it's crafted with ceremonial grade cacao, fermented probiotic teas, and adaptogenic herbs to really fuel your body and your mind. So if you're feeling tired of being wired or up and down with the roller coasters of coffee, you really have to try Nandaka. Right now, Peak is generously offering us 20% off for life and a free starter kit with your purchase. So that's a rechargeable frother and a glass beaker so that you can make the perfect cup every time. Go to peaklife.com/uterm. That's PIQUELIFE.com/uturn. This is an exclusive offer just for you guys listening to the U-Turn podcast, and Peak backs it up with a 90-day money-back guarantee so you can try it out risk-free. There's a reason why this company has more than 15,000 five-star reviews. Trust me, your energy, your gut, and your future self will thank you.
But the way that they've done that, though, is getting their exact words in a deep dive survey, SMIQ, and every bit of copy that they're running at them is echoing back their words. Well, you run the copy, get them in a lead magnet, and you know the progression. They're taking them lead magnets, webinars, and then ultimately offer. Less in real estate. Real estate, it's, the offers, I'm going to work with you. And with the new NAR settlement that's just come down too, every single buyer before an agent shows them a house has to sign an agreement that discloses compensation up front. But as far as anyone else, in whether it's in the coaching space or information services space, I would 100% grab what is the current space and time that you're in? Because a lot of times what can happen too is what we're using as the lead magnet or as the offer that's out there. Maybe there's something that's even better than, I think what can happen in these situations, it causes us to say, okay, I've got get a little bit more creative. I've got to go back to the basics of just my email address, and do two things: remind and train my audience to do business with me, remind and train my audience to send me business or talk about what I'm sharing with them. And so then moving them into a free webinar and then into an offer. I mean, and we're watching that happen from coaching business to consulting businesses. Email lists are everything right now. Well, they always have been.
Yeah, they have. But then there's also, it's like, I remember when Gmail updated and had those tabs, that was a real heyday for a lot of our business friends that have invested in email. Do you remember when people actually saw things if they liked your Facebook page, like a like did something? Like, and it's like Zuck wakes up and he's like, no more likes or whatever,
Yeah,
like
right.
I think we had like 120,000 likes that came from our ads or whatever. And they're still there, but I'm like, I'm pretty sure if we post something to my public Facebook profile, we're going to about 3 people that follow me that somehow see it. So, I feel like a theme that we're talking about is innovating and innovating with good energy, remembering the tools and remembering like you're the magic trick. And it's hard for people to, it's even with me, right? I'm saying this out loud to you and I'm like, oh, but am I the magic trick? Like, yeah, I'm the girl that did the TED Talk with 12 million views, but I'm so much more than a view on YouTube, right? I'm not, that's not who I am. But damn, that helped me get some sales, Jon. Like, what are
I
we?
guarantee it did. But and I get that, because what I'm hearing though too is your humility in it, and I think that we need to because sure there's that video there, but but listen, you have built credibility, you've built authority, so now it's time to go into and share the experiences that other people have had,
Yeah.
because there's three ways to sell. Tell someone we're great, demonstrate we're great, or have other people tell you that you're great. Well, that lead magnet in a webinar, the simple stuff, you're demonstrating that you're great. And
Right.
then the second one that works really, really well is then other people saying you're great. Is that a great tool? Yes, it is. But I just think personally, going in deeper with your audience that you've built and finding out, because your avatar is right in there. They're going to tell you what you need to bring forward to the market in your messaging.
And a lot of what you're sharing comes down to life force energy because, and you know what, John, I have felt my whole life because I don't know if I don't know if these personality tests are messing me up because, when I go into
Oh,
like my astrology and it's like I put myself in a box. It almost allows me to subscribe too much to what it says I am, which I try not to do, but
right.
I've read a lot of things that say I'm the type that like goes in hot and then backs away. And it's so true for me creatively. I come in strong, I create something badass, get everybody to help me run it, and then I take a break. You'll find me in a vineyard somewhere in
Oh,
France,
wow.
like hiding for like 3 months. And so, but I pour my life force into this thing and I strive for excellence. I create really hard. Um, and then I'm gone, right? Like my book, bestseller in Asia, like such a random thing, right? Like why am I a New York Times level person in like Taiwan or whatever it is, right? I literally am. Like, isn't that crazy? So
Wow.
life's a trip and it's because I go in hard and this is my creation and I don't want to limit myself with my stories about my life force energy. So how do you, when you're looking at these CEOs, you obviously probably see some that like really rise up and some who freaking crumble. And your work is helping them stop with the crumbling, get their game going. How do you help people who maybe are oversubscribed to a story in their head that like they're tapped out, they got nothing left, hands up, this is it, I'm walking out, versus like we're going to resuscitate this thing?
Sure. Well, I think the first thing is looking at core principles, and we've heard it so much before, and I just did a presentation yesterday, and everyone's heard about having a mission, having a vision, having values, having principles, and they're up on the wall and all that. But it's having people revisit them if they have them, and then B 100% living by them. People will talk about, and you're going to find that my experience has been with these CEOs. Probably 97% of them do not have mission, values, principles. What I call my MVP, the most
Mm,
valuable player. I am the MVP. And so I think the other part is too, is if you look at when they're running these large organizations, what I play is the minimize to maximize. Less is more. And the first place I need to go to is I don't want you to have multiple decisions. The first thing I want to get rid of all the decisions that you need to make. And there's just one decision. I
mm,
can I hone in with every leader and say, here's what your life's going to look like with me. You're every day going to make one decision in your
mhm,
business. I don't care what happens, it's one decision. How do you do that? Being crystal clear on your mission, being crystal clear on your values, and being crystal clear on your principles. So when you encounter everything and be, I mean, like really clear, don't just put some college words up on the wall and read them and they look really cool, or put them in fancy, fonts. No, this is it runs through your veins. And
mm,
so then whenever we encounter challenge, frustrations, fear, we always come back to the mission, which serves the greater good, the values, and just my simple definitions of it. My values, the experience that I want people to have of their interaction with me and me to have of them, and then my principles, the
mm,
absolute laws.
mm.
And what's very interesting is you'll find that most of them don't have core fundamental mission, values, and principles. That's the first place I get them to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Number one.
What's funny for me is like I kind of feel like sometimes my company has different values than me. Do you see that?
We do, and we do our darndest, as we whether I'm taking on a client or we're bringing on staff. We've got one of our companies. We have 80 direct VAISAs. There are VAISAs that we manage, and we've got another business that has about 8 or 9 employees, and so you don't know until they get in.
Right.
You really don't know. And then, so yeah, we see that happen a lot. So then what happens is this alignment process. It's making sure that actually I'm out in front to create an alignment personally with them first, and then the business objective second. I think many times people will come in, whether it's a partnership or whether it's staff members, is they're so caught up, can you do the job? Are you skilled? Are you this? But then there's a total lack of alignment in values and principles, and that will make it implode all the time.
Right.
Always
Cultural
does.
competence. It's insane.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
true.
Yep.
Yeah, I used to be so desperate to, I've learned, speaking of team, it's like, I'm so proud of my team. They're the smartest people I've ever met. Not one
Okay.
person on this team that I don't think is like a weapon, you know?
Wow.
Yeah, I got a super team. One of our writers, he wrote one of my favorite shows. He was on the writing team for Lizzie McGuire when I was a little kid, my favorite show. And another one wrote The New Girl. And our creative director comes from Apple. She wrote a lot of stuff for Steve Jobs' team. I'm just like so inspired by who I have here. And so it's been such a life hack. I didn't realize that when it comes to hiring talent, you got to pay for the Ferrari, right? So a lot of these writers are Ferraris. And we tell clients when they come in for a keynote or whatever, we say, look, like we're tightly scoped because we're paying world-class people. We can't like finagle around with them. Like this is the scope. Or the whole thing costs different because we're paying for their time. We respect their time. And you're right, like one of my biggest core values in business is speed. I value responding. I value get it done, momentum. Like that little ants in my pants I told you about earlier. It's like it's infused in the whole company, like,
Right.
and the first couple people I hired that were real game changers, my real big salary people coming in, I was like, oh, they're faster than me. That's crazy. They're sending me I see them texting me as I'm trying to text them, like we're
That's
just
so good.
on the pulse, but people keep lower standards sometimes of the support that they get. They don't know it's out there. How do you choose stars? Like you have these values, people say they're good, but like, how do you know?
Sure. I've never done personality tests, for the reason that you mentioned. Gosh, I do
Right.
so many of them, it pigeonholes me. What I'm looking for in talent is grit. Um, and then I'm also looking for, my big ones are a team player. And then I'm also looking for principles of personal responsibility. I just look for the most simplest of things. So
Mhm.
grit for me is looking at, because what I let people know is that they're going to screw up. I'm going to screw up. That we are a tribe, village, a community. Sure, we're a business. We're a tribe, village, a community. But in a tribe, village, or community, what we do is when things get tough, we understand that a relationship is measured not when things are good. Relationships are
Yeah.
measured when they're challenging. And so I want to have them go back to what we were talking about earlier when I get to the grit aspect of it, is the thing that they're most proud of that they have been able to get on the other side of. I want to see
Mm.
grit.
Mm.
Um, from a teamwork standpoint, and certainly we watch body language and all those type of things, is I ask them if they've ever been in a competitive environment, and if someone says no, well then, I mean, everything, it's just natural. When people work in environments, they want to do a little bit better. I'm sorry they say don't compare yourself to other people, because everyone does compare themselves to
Right.
other people.
Yeah.
And so we're all go deeper. And my interview and discernment process is not that thorough, but it is. It's really, really simple. I think people make it complicated. So I'll ask people where how do they perform, and how do they show up when someone on the team or someone in a similar job is outperforming them?
Mm.
Because that right there is will share with me whether someone's insecure, whether
Mm.
someone's humble, vulnerable, transparent, is willing to reach up. And so that for me, from a teamwork standpoint, and then I'll always ask them too, what's the number one thing you're most proud of when you're really, really successful in your job, in your role, in your lane, in a business or a job? What's the thing that you're most proud of? Um, is it, do you get frustrated with other people that aren't performing, or do you help them? Great. I help them. Oh, good. Tell me the story. So there I go into the team aspect of it. And then my number one kicker though is personal responsibility.
Yeah, for sure.
Everything.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the breakdown of any team member, like I will take low level talent that will do what they say they're going to do by a certain time that's committed to and will own their outcomes. The biggest issue is people that don't own their outcomes. So for me, it's, and then from there, we get into it and we live it and we walk it alongside one another. But I'm looking for personal responsibility. I'm looking for grit, and I'm looking for someone that plays well with others in a team environment.
Hmm. You know, one of the hardest things that I've had to manage as a leader myself is like, I don't ever want to talk smack about anybody that works for me or with me. I don't even see them working for me, but it's hard because it's not that I intend to talk smack. It's just you got to talk to somebody. Like I have my C-suite people that I need
Sure.
to talk to them and be like, hey, this person isn't hacking it. And how do you say that nicely and create an emotionally safe environment? When what I really want to say is, hey, this person said they do this, they didn't, they're chopped, like chop, and
Yes.
and you don't want to scare people that this is your personality because I'm like, I swear this isn't my personality. Like I just have to be this person
Right.
for this business. I'm many people inside of me.
Right.
So how do you create that emotional safety for people like who you would say are the people that take responsibility?
Sure. The I do talk about accountability a lot in, as I go deeper in conversations with people, not only when they come on board, but in onboarding and then when we visit it. I pre-frame everything with the fact that accountability is the highest form of love we can
Yes.
show a human being. And so really what I'm trying to do is and get people to understand. And so that's that personal development standpoint. And I'll share with people, I said, listen, you're bringing your time, your talent, your treasures. I'm going to learn from you 100%. And I like where you were going. Like, I'm going to walk alongside you. What I'm hearing you is you run a flat, sure, you got the vision, it's your organization. But what I'm hearing is you run a flat organization instead of this, top
Yeah.
down type thing. And so for me, it's just, saying, staying in a space of, um, understanding that accountability is required for us to experience the things that we want in our life as a result of work that we're going to do together. And it has to do with truth and integrity on my part, because if I don't hold you accountable, I am not. So it's educating people to accountability and letting them know also that, hey, this is one thing I had to learn. Accountability for me was condemnation.
Mm,
I had to learn to, because how I was held accountable in my previous life was I was judged and ridiculed. Um,
mm.
and so I had to
Oof.
tap into it and see, okay, where were the positives in it? Because there's positive, everything has this duality. But
Yeah.
now looking at letting people know, first of all, this is the context of the relationship. We live in a mutually accountable relationship. We live in a personally responsible relationship. But here's the other place where I go to too, and just being super transparent. And you are too. We're intense.
Yeah.
And there are and there are some rules and boundaries that CEOs need to have, and any CEO needs to have. That there are certain levels in the organization. All I can do is do acknowledgement,
Mm,
and so I have to let my people know, my leadership team, my people around me is, listen, I'm going to let it fly with you, but I want you to understand where my intention is. It is from love. And
mm.
so, because that's just who I am, but
Right.
understanding that they've got, and so bringing people on that have the emotional maturity and emotional intelligence to filter that down. Right.
Mm, hmm.
I'm always going to be me.
Yeah.
I'm always going to be me. And I think the thing with you too is we got to let it fly. We've got to have a relationship with the people in the C-suite that are filtering that down to people, but also demonstrating. I think the most important thing to do is demonstrate that we are doing it from us. Sure, we're in a for-profit business, but I'm going to tell you something. If love is not connected, a love for your result, a love for what you're going to be able to do for your family, a love for your desire to demonstrate your potential in our organization.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
there's a combo of being. I think it's what I'm hearing from you, and it's kind of interesting. Takes me back. You look at your challenge. My goodness, I forgot the simplest thing. I would go to the brilliant people that you have and say to them, "Hey, if you were me, what would you do?" I remember that exercise. Well, back in
Hmm.
the olden days, they had a keychain, not this, but my CEO slid. He was a mentor of mine. He took his keychain, and there was a big decision in the boardroom, and he just took his keychain, slid it to the end of the table. He says, "You're the CEO. What are you going to do?"
Oof. Brutal.
It was, but here's, so it's hiring people that are smarter than you, which is really, really good. I think that leaders also need to recognize that if you're going to hire number two people, well, you're going to stay where you're at. Hire people. I love what you said. Hire people that threaten you.
Yeah, I'm so
Hire
happy
people that make you
about it. I'm
worry.
like, oh, great news. You're better than me. The writer, I identify as a writer. I think I'm a really good writer,
Mhm.
but people are better. I'm
Yeah.
like, God, it's people come in for keynotes and I tell them, they're like, oh, I want my talk to sound like me. I'm like, I want it to sound better than you, yo. Like, let's get some things on this thing.
That's so
Um,
good. That's
yeah,
really
like
good.
you, but better. John, this has been so nice. I want to hold on to your freaking ankles today. Your energy, your life force for being solution driven makes me think a lot about like in my 20s, how people will be like, you're going to learn from this mistake. And you're like, I don't want to hear that right now. I'm just in a horrible
Oh,
thing. But
yeah.
then later in life, you're like, oh, I'm learning. I'm learning. I got wisdom. I went through a hard thing. I got it. What would be your final words for anybody listening who's really in it right now? Like things just aren't working for them.
Is what did you ask for in life? What did you ask for? Did you ask to be average? And
Mm,
if you did, fine. Then, gosh, you should talk about it. You should talk about what you're going through, and you should sit in it, and no judgment to it. That is a path. But if and you're sitting here with me, right, as you and I speak with other leaders, people with aspirations, um, but that's not what you asked for.
yeah.
And as it was taught to me is, anesthesiologists actually, I think, are close to the highest paid.
Yeah. Doctors.
Um,
Hmm.
yeah, they take you as closer to death than anyone does. Well, a heart surgeon will stop your heart and put you on the heart machine, which
Yeah.
is interesting. I've learned that they lay the heart in ice, but that's for another story. So they're compensated really, really well because they do really, really special work. So if you want to do really, really special work, well, guess what? You are in your, I don't know what it is. Are you in your graduate? Are you in your PhD? Are you in med school? What is it? This is a new classroom.
Mm,
This is a classroom. And you know what this challenge is telling you? And it's attitude and approach and expectations. Okay, what's my attitude as I look at it? How am I going to approach this? And what am I expecting? I'm expecting to stay in a spin cycle and just be miserable, or I'm going to have the expectation to say, I just got discovered my new ceiling.
mm,
I just discovered my new ceiling, and I've faced ceilings before and thought I wasn't going to break through. And so now I'm in this classroom and I get to do the work. And here's the work to do. Just the next right thing, right?
yeah. One foot in front of the other.
That's it.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
Period.
John, where can everybody find you, learn from you, just keep being,
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, the simplest place to go is to my personal Facebook,
cool.
just the Jon Cheplak on Facebook, or my Instagram is Cheplak Live, and it's me. I'm hanging out there. Love to chat with people, and yes, I'm the one that responds and
Love
writes my
that.
posts and does that stuff. So yeah,
Thanks again for being here.
yeah, my privilege. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the U-Turn podcast. I hope you learned so much in this episode and you're putting it into action today. We would love to hear from you. Slide into my DMs at Ashley Stahl or leave a written review if you're inspired. It would mean so much to us. Be sure to subscribe to the show because, as you know, the more subscribers we get, the better the guests we can bring you. And in the meantime, if you're looking to skyrocket your personal brand and impact millions, head on over to wisewhisperagency.com to learn more about how we can help you craft your greatest talk of your life, how we can help you get booked on some of the biggest stages in the world, even the TED or TEDx stage. We'd love to hear from you, and that's it for this week.
Trying to solve, always think you know it all, been thinking about you up against that wall. It's too late, I fell on every fall. think you like guys, I don't think I should try. I guess it's time to give up, but